Can you just describe what you do?
Okay, actually, I'm building many robots. So my purpose is to develop the robot that works in a daily life. And but in order to do that, we need to study about the human. Okay, so best design of a robot is a human. Therefore, studying the human likeness. We can consider the many human-like aspects for the human, human-like appearance and behaviors and interaction with other people. I'm studying about that kind of things. Originally for developing the everyday robot, but my basic motivation is to know what is humans by building a robot. Therefore, sometimes it looks very artistic work, and and so yeah, probably personally, I don't care about the research areas. I just care about the fundamental questions, and therefore I'm doing various things. I'm developing a robot, and I'm studying the psychologies, cognitive science, and philosophy. And um, through that kind of studies, I'm trying to understand what is human.
So what actually drew you towards, or why is having androids that look very human-like and in fact are a clone in a sense in some ways?
In order to understand what is humans, probably you will think about the cognitive science, brain science, some biology. But their approach, of course, we can get some knowledge from these the research areas, but still limited, I think. If we look at our daily life, we are using many electric devices and TVs, radios, and the computers and cell phones, but we are using that, right? So that means that kind of devices may have some human-friendly interface, and we can choose which is better, right? And we can choose we can consider the more better design for human device interaction, and that means development of a device or a robot will be another approach to understand the humans in a real life, real situations. Um, if we look at our history of a human, we always try to develop new technologies. At that time, when we get the new technologies, we also try to develop a robot. For example, when we have invented the clock, we have developed the automata. That is a kind of a robot. And when we have invented the steam engine, so we try to develop the steam engine robot. You know, as you know, technology is coming from human abilities. We can work. Therefore, we want to develop the vehicle. We need to wash the dishes, or we need to clean the room. Therefore, we develop the dishwashers and vacuum cleaners. And then once we get the new technologies, we try to develop the more human-like the machine. So technology development, that is another way to understand the humans. So we call it the constructive approach for understanding human.
Can you just describe that briefly, like just for people who don't know what a geminoid is?
Okay, when I started the robot project in my laboratory, my purpose was, as I said, to develop a robot that works in a daily life. But when I developed the mechanical-looking robot, so I got the big questions. So what is the appearance for the robot? Actually, our brain is designed for recognizing the human-like appearance, and probably the mechanical-looking robot is not perfect for the human. Therefore, I have started the Android project that has the, Android. Android is a robot that has the very human-like appearance and behaviors, and maybe the perceptions. When I developed the Android, people wanted to talk longer, but unfortunately, it's impossible because we don't have a perfect technology for the artificial intelligence. Then, I have develop the teleoperated functions for the Android. So that is a Geminoid. Geminoid is the Android of existent person, teleoperated Android of an existent person. The meaning is twin brothers.
So was that research done in Japan or around the world? Where was that actually done?
Yeah.
I'm interested because of the cultural differences.
Actually, as you know, the Japan, we have many robot technologies, and especially for the Android, so we don't see any other project in other countries. So I think that we have started the Android project first in the world, and still, that we don't see other groups in foreign countries. And the reason is, well, I think we have two reasons. One is we don't have the military application for the robots. If we develop the robotic technologies, usually you consider to use that technology for the military purpose. But in Japan, we don't have that. Therefore, we have to develop the daily application. That is most important point. And then, well, the second point is also related to that question, the answer. The second point is we had a good success in the industrial robots. I don't remember exactly, maybe 20 years ago, 70% industrial robots in the world was made in Japan. And then after that, the other countries like China's and European countries, they are catching up. So that Japanese companies need to develop a new market. So we need to transfer the robot technologies from the industry to the daily life. And another reason is probably the religion. And in Japanese, we don't distinguish human and others. Therefore, we don't hesitate to develop a human-like stuff. So probably, that we can consider three reasons.
Do you think it's really it's just a theory, but I don't really feel it's real for me.
Uncanny Valley is just a kind of conceptual, the things, and that graph is quite ambiguous. But what we can say is, if a robot does not have a good balance between appearance and behaviors, the robot will be very uncanny. If a robot has a very human-like, suppose a robot has a very human-like appearance but doesn't have a human-like movement, so it looks like a zombie. Zombie is very uncanny for us. So that is the example. But a graph, the graph of Uncanny Valley, that is very conceptual and not exact graph. Yeah, well, if we limit the purpose and the situations, the robot will be very human-like, and it's quite difficult to distinguish which is which. In such case, we don't have any Uncanny Valley. Nobody knows that. We just believe it is humans. The same thing happens for my current Android. Current Android is not uncanny anymore, if we limit the situation and the purpose. When I developed my Geminoid, it was the mechanism was so complicated and the cost was very high. Therefore, other researchers they couldn't buy that expensive the Android. But there are many researchers who want to use my Android for various purposes, especially for psychologists and cognitive scientists. They think they can do many things with this robot. Therefore, I developed the Geminoid F with the human appearance. And the purpose, I had two the purposes in the development of a Geminoid F. One is rich facial expressions, like a smiling and some in a sad face. And I think we could have their success in some extent. And the second point is to reduce the number of actuators and make it cheaper. And the current cost is around the 100,000. Yeah. And if you got a kind of a big grant, you can buy that.
What would have been the cost of your Gemini?
My Gemini at least 600, and in the total, including everything, I mean, computers and sensors, and, it's very close to the 1 million.
There's a company that you work with. Can you tell me about your relationship with them? Like how
Okay, when I started the Android project, it was 8 years ago. I was looking for good companies that we can work together. And finally, I met to the Kokoro, the corporations. Kokoro was building dinosaurs for museums, and they had a good technologies, well, how to use the silicon, and how to make a kind of animal like robots. And then we started the collaborations, and we have built many robots, many androids after that. And they could establish the good technologies for building the more human-like robots, and through the collaboration.
when I'm with Geminoid, in the brief time I've been with it, the feeling is quite different to when I've seen it on a screen.
Right, of course.
So there's something about it just looks more real or more animate.
Right.
And I find that amazing because it doesn't, on the screen it doesn't look so, you think, it's a bit clunky or something, but you don't notice that. So there's a difference in my perception.
Yeah, actually, we can feel the human likeness with many channels, by watching the movement and by watching the eyes, and if you see and by hearing something. If you watch the videos, video has just limited the modality, the limited channels. Therefore, video is completely different from the real Geminoid. If the Android has the eye contact with you, so you can forget about the detail. You can, adapt to that conversation or interactions. That is a very important point. And unfortunately, so we cannot represent with a video. Now YouTube is a YouTube and video is a video. I know the limitation, right? And basically, it's quite difficult to trust everybody.
Do you feel it has some life, or is it for you still just a machine, a tool, or something?
In my case, I don't have any special feeling for the Android. But students and someone they have. This kind of things happen for any kind of robot. So they think, the robot is more than more than machine. If we hit the robot, they will be angry very much. And I guess they have a kind of special relationships, but not strange relationships. Just they care it about more than machine. Actually, the ones we have a kind of a tight relationships with animals or robots, we expect, or we got some imagination about the intelligence and emotions to that robot or animals, and I think that is quite important. The ability of a human, I think the emotion or the intelligence and the consciousness, these kind of things are kind of a subjective phenomena. There is no obvious functions, about. Even if we ask what is the emotion to the brain scientists, they don't have right answers, right? Because that is a kind of subjective phenomenon. I believe you have a feeling, you have a mind, you have a consciousness, and you believe I have, right? And so everybody believes each other, that kind of things. Therefore, I believe I have a consciousness, I have a mind. So I think that is the basic principle of emotion and consciousness and intelligence. And therefore, once we got the kind of a tight relationships with a machine or animal, we read the, how can I say, we can feel the emotions with the machine or animal. So as I said, I'm interested in a human itself, we also, the people are also looking for the definition of a human. So if we want to have some definition, if we want to, sorry.
It's okay. Do you need to get it?
Okay, if we want to define the humans, so we need to think that human abilities, and then we can get some answer about the human, right? So we cannot define the human as the well, the body properties. 100 years ago, if we don't have legs, probably people they don't accept that kind of the person as a human. But you know, today, of course, we accept, right? But in the near futures, even if we replace our body with the machines, probably we accept that machine as a human, right? So we need to look for the more deeper, well, how can I say, the more fundamental definition of a human. So in order to consider that, I think that kind of idea will be very important. The idea means the consciousness, emotion, and mind. These are subjective phenomena. We just believe each other. Therefore, that exists in our society. Traditional AI approach. So we just focus on the brain itself, and we just focus on the particular the ability of humans. But I think we cannot develop the real intelligence from based on that kind of approach, because I will say again, the intelligence and the consciousness and the feeling, well, the emotions, these are subjective phenomena, right? So in order to simulate the subjective phenomena, of course, we need to the machine need to have a kind of body properties. Once we look at the human likeness to the machines, then so we can guess the emotions and intelligence to the machine, right? So interaction will be more important, and then I think we can get we can know what is intelligence and emotion, right? If we focus on the particular ability of humans, so we can do something, we can develop something, but that's not going to be a human itself. It's going to be just the machines with a very limited functions.
Can you see the work you're doing? Are people developing quite sophisticated AI using your research? Are they using it for their development of their sort of brain in a box stuff?
Not yet. But near future, I hope to do that. I hope to collaborate with the AI people. But the fundamental difference is AI researchers are not interested in human intelligence. They are interested in just intelligence or just sophisticated computers, right? But my interest is the human-like intelligence. So when we are talking each other, I can feel your intelligence. So I want to know what is that, right? I'm not interested in your computational abilities, right? But I'm interested in intelligence that coming from interactions, or by talking, by doing something together. So unfortunately, the pure AI people are not interested in so much yet. But of course, they have to do more. I mean, they also have many fundamental issues, and they need to improve the computers or their the computer program. But the ones they feel limitations in that approach, probably they are going to use our robot, and I'm waiting for that kind of time.
Do you think that time is going to happen in your lifetime, where these things will merge together, or is that too soon?
I'm not sure about that. Yeah, but basically I'm when I was the PhD student, I studied about the artificial intelligence and computer vision, and I moved into the robotics. So probably I'm quite interested in that kind of collaborations by myself. I may start that kind of project by myself. So yeah, I want to do that in the near future. The company need to survive in this society. Therefore, they need to be very serious for selling the Android. And if they sell many Androids, I can get the grant from them. So that is the a kind of role sharing and well, researchers or engineers probably they are interested in my ideas, but basically they are focusing on the just the development of robots.
For which use?
Application is so we need to start with a very small market, like a museum or mainly museum or research purpose. And then I'm not sure if we have a surrogate-like world in the near future, they can sell more. I'm not sure what's happened. This is same as the computers or cell phone. Nobody expects the what's happening in futures, because actually computers and the cell phones change our lifestyle completely, right? So that means that the society need to adapt to the new technologies, and then we can improve the technologies, right? So the most important thing is to give a robot or Android to the people first, and then if they accept, right, and the Android or robot suddenly spread out in this world, right? So I cannot expect, but I'm feeling the rich possibilities.
You think it's going to be something more Japanese, and then before it goes elsewhere? In terms of this acceptance of the...
Yeah, maybe, but actually, recently I'm getting many offers or invited talk from European countries. I'm giving more talks in Europe than the Japan, so I'm not sure which is faster, right? I don't think I think that we don't have any difference between Europe and Japan or US, right? And of course, we have a different education and maybe the different expectation about the robot. But in order to accept the technologies, probably we don't have any difference. If that is real technologies, then maybe the European people and American people, they also accept. So that is my guess. People are always looking for the new technologies and they accept the new technologies of cell phone and the TVs, right? So we didn't talk about the cultural difference when we had the TV or cell phone and the computers. People just accepted. Of course, there was some little bit time difference between Europe and Japan, but it was almost nothing. And I guess the same things happen with the robot. So robot is not the real technology yet, unfortunately, right? So we need to find the real applications, more better applications. But once we found that, I think the robot can be accepted in the world. And the important thing is, we don't have that kind of a media so far, right? That we cannot touch to the TVs, we cannot touch to the computers and cell phone, I'm talking about the human-like body, human-like shape. So, so my imagination is like this. With the TV, we could send our image to the distant place. With the cell phone, we could reach the people anywhere and anytime. So next media, probably we want to send our presence to the distant place with the robot technologies. So I really think Gemini will be that kind of media, right? So so we need to give people the new possibilities, right? And tactile medias or tactile things, and that develop that's going to be a new infrastructure like a cell phone or TV. The real world is more singular than the scientific fiction. So 20 years ago, we couldn't they expect this kind of information society, especially for the cell phones. As you know, in Japan, everybody using a cell phone on a train. So we couldn't expect that kind of a situation, right? So real world is more singular, and therefore, I think we have a possibility to use the the Android or Gemini, their own copies in the near future. The people are always looking for the way to evolve itself. So the technology is a very important things for the human evolutions. We are evolving with the technologies, and we are always looking for the new possibility of a human, by using the new technologies. And so I'm very sure, we are going to use that kind of technology in the near future. And human itself is going to be more machine-like, and we are going to use more artificial organs. Human is getting close to the machines. The machine is getting close to the humans, and then the definition of a human will be very ambiguous, and we need to find a new definition about the humans. But that is our purpose. Why we are surviving in this world. So we have just one purpose. That is to know that what is human. Right? So I think that is a human history. Yeah, we are not surviving for the food, and we are not surviving for the money, right? And not just working, but actually, any kind of jobs, all jobs, they're going to be that questions: what is a human? Why you are interviewing me? Because you are interested in humans, And someone is making the commercial product, but product is going to be used by other people. Right? They need to consider what is humans, right? What is that for, right? So everybody, indirectly thinking about what is humans, and the technology can overcome that kind of disasters, right? And that we don't care about the rain and the snows. Of course, still, the natural power is much bigger than the human powers. But in the near future, we may overcome that. The kind of things with the technologies, and then that we can focus on another fundamental questions: what is a human more, right? But the fundamental idea is, so I think we cannot define the human itself alone, right? Human need to interact with other people, So we need to define the humans based on the society, or at least the 2 people or 3 people based on the interaction. In order to have interactions, of course, the robots need to have human-like bodies, right? So if we think like that, I'm not interested in just artificial intelligence, but I'm interested in the artificial humans as the social beings. I think we can develop the synthetic human, but how can I say? So the basic idea is that I think we can define the human itself based on the society. Once, suppose that we accept we develop the kind of sophisticated robot, and we accept that robot our social partners, that robot will be a human. That robot will be an artificial human. But the important thing is to have human-like relationships with others, right? And this is not, simple artificial intelligence. This robot, they can have, the human-like, the artificial intelligence.
And it won't be a different species then? We won't classify it as another species?
Well, yeah, it depends on the ability, and it depends on the function of the robot. So now we are talking, right? But I don't see you are inside. You may have a computer in your brain, and you may have a machine in your body, but through this interaction, I can believe you are humans. So that is the most important things about humans, right? So if you have a dog-like appearance, but if you talk like a humans, probably you will be humans. But if you talk like a dog, you will be a dog, right? So that most important thing is to accept as a human in the society. Then that robot or android, they can be a human. Human is human, right? That is most important ideas. Therefore, once we accept the robot as a humans, that will be a humans. But if you accept the robot as a slave, right? So that robot will be a slave and not human. But basically, it's a evolutionary process, and sometimes we need to have a kind of a mutation, and so we cannot expect what kind of a mutation we are going to have, right? Like a cell phone and computers, right? So, there are many chances and many possibilities. Right? What we have to do is just, prepare for that kind of a mutation or, the sudden change, So that's what I'm doing here. Yeah, but as I said, I want to go back to the previous topic about the military, right? And we don't have a military application. Therefore, the companies are quite serious to develop a new market with the robot technologies. Robot technology is not so special. Now we have information technologies. If we combine with the sensor and actuators, that's going to be a robot. So the cell phone is a kind of a robot already. Cell phone has the cameras and many sensors, GPS, and the vibrator. That is actuators. We are ready for, developing the more sophisticated robots. So, um, so we cannot stop this kind of a technology development, and so we are going to use more robot-like stuff. Yeah, I really think so. Then I'm working with the cell phone companies to develop a new model about the cell phones. How do you think about the cell phone design? That is not so good for the young children and elderly people. Our brain is basically have the function to recognize a human-like appearance or to talk with the humans. That is a human brain, right? So if we consider the best design of a cell phone, the cell phone will be more human-like. Yeah, just give me a couple of months. I'm going to show the what kind of a cell phone we are going to have in near futures, right? But not today, just right now, I know I cannot talk anymore. But
And it must be exciting for you. Do you feel that are you energized by that kind of interest from the world and your own work itself? I mean, does that give you a kind of drive or something?
I probably my case is a little bit different from other people. I'm always looking for my role in this society. Always looking for the reason why I need to survive in this world, right? And so that is my driving force, right? That I cannot stop to do the research or to work. Otherwise, I will be very nervous. And of course, that I play with other people and I enjoy some, stupid things. But always I'm thinking, why I'm doing these kind of things. And always I'm thinking some connection to that fundamental question about what is humans. So good thing is, if we have a very fundamental questions, so we can enjoy any kind of things. So this is also one of the my hobby, to talk with media people, to talk with other people. So I'm just answering to your question, but same time, I'm thinking about what's the meaning of this, and and I try to find some ideas through this kind of a conversation.
You must meet some very interesting people coming to you from all over the world. I mean, in
Yeah.
general, are they interesting to talk to?
Yeah, actually, we have many foreigners. I don't remember how many foreigners I have, but totally, I have 90 people, and probably more than 20 foreigners are, studying here, and they're coming from various areas and various countries. So last year, I checked the number of countries, 13, right? So the students and the researchers are coming from 13 countries, and their areas are quite, various. I mean, philosophers, psychologists, and cognitive scientists, and brain scientists, and of course engineers.
Do any of these scientists and researchers when they come here, do they have a specific interest in robotics, or are they just...
Yeah, of course they have some specific interests, but once they get into our laboratories, they can find more other the interesting things too. But basically they have some own purpose or their own interest. But the good thing is they can they work with other people and work with other other researchers from different the areas, and they can make their idea wider. That once we limit the research area, that is not research. That is just the development. So the research, or what is the research? Research is to have fundamental questions, and always the new research areas coming from the border, between the two different areas. So, for example, bioengineering is a combination of engineering and biology, right? And then we can perform the real science there, right? Science and research, that we should not have a particular areas for that, right? So science means to know something new, new things that happens in a border, some interdisciplinary areas. That is obvious, right? So we should not have research areas, if we want to do the real science.
Is your department actually collaborating, or is it just you that are collaborating with ATR? I mean, are they separate?
I'm sending the student from Osaka University to the ATR, and I'm giving the PhD to the ATR researchers. We are tightly working together. But the ATR, the good thing for the ATR, that is a private organization. Therefore, the ATR can accept the student from many universities, and then we can have a real collaboration in the ATR. But usually in university, we don't collaborate with neighbors. They are kind of competitors, and a little bit difficult to work with the neighbor professors. But once we go to the ATR, it's easy. Right? So we can just focus on the research itself.
It's great. It's like a neutral ground, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, exactly.